Now, one of the things I talked a lot about yesterday, certainly got a lot of traction, and Awful Announcing picked it up as well, is the intentional walks to Aaron Judge.
Right.
So there were 3 intentional walks on Sunday. The one that was alarming was the one on Saturday. He hit a home run in the first inning, 16th first-inning home run, ties Babe Ruth for the most ever by a Yankee. And the all-time record is 18 by A-Rod. He did it with the Rangers in 2001, so plenty of time for him to get 2 more first-inning home runs. But in the second inning, 2 outs, nobody on, he gets intentionally walked by John Snyder of the Blue Jays. And I think Snyder can do whatever he wants for his team, what he thinks is good for his team. But the reason he gave, I'm tired of seeing him swing. Oh, okay, your pitchers can't get him out, and that's fine. Not many pitchers can get him out. Then the next day, they walk him 3 times intentionally as well. I think that any manager should do whatever's at his disposal to try to win a game. And I think that what I said yesterday has kind of been misconstrued, that I'm talking just about Aaron Judge. What I'm talking about is it's an awful optic for a sport that you completely take the opportunity to play away from your biggest stars. So since I'm Yankee boy, let me recuse the Yankees from this conversation. Imagine if you go to Dodger Stadium to watch Shohei Ohtani hit, and he gets intentionally walked 4 times. How is that good for the sport? Tell me how that's good for the sport. I'd like to know. Forget about Aaron Judge. It's not good for the sport. John Snyder didn't do anything wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong, because it's within the rules. But is it good for the fans that go to Dodger Stadium, that pay money to see Shohei Ohtani hit, and they don't see him hit? Or Dodger fans that watch on their network, they don't see him hit? Again, not a concern of Snyder's, but Don, I'll tell you what, it should very well be a concern of Major League Baseball, because in no other sport is a player not allowed to play. Like if you're playing the Chiefs, a coach can't say, you know what, Mahomes can't touch the ball in the 4th quarter. It would be unheard of. Now, you could blitz him, try to get him out of his game, and then let his greatness take over. Same thing with Steph Curry. You could double team him, but he can have the ball in his hand. You can't say you can't touch the ball in the 4th quarter. So when your faces of baseball, your Ohtanis, your Trouts when he's healthy, your Julio Rodriguez in Seattle, your Aaron Judge. Now, Aaron Judge is the face of baseball and one of the best shows in the game, and you just intentionally walk him. There's something fundamentally not right about that. Again, not a Yankee thing, and anybody that looked at it as saying, I'm just saying it because of Judge, clean out the wax in your ears, okay? That's not what I said. I'm saying baseball in general, it's not great when you lose the entertainment value of a game. The entertainment value is to see Aaron Judge hit, to see Ohtani hit, to see J-Rod hit. And if you take that away, that's not great for the sport. And I don't know the solution, Don, but I know one thing. It's not great for the sport.
No, it's not. And if you invented the sport today and you presented this design to people, the first thing that they would say is, well, so you're telling me the star of the team only appears 4 times?
And 3 of the times he doesn't do anything.
We got to find a way to be able to promote the stars. That's what sports is supposed to be all about, right? I mean, at the end of that Game 7 between the Panthers and the Oilers, Connor McDavid was on the ice for almost the entire last 10 minutes. They were trying to get the tying goal, and you got to see the best player on the planet play in the biggest game of the year. Half the game, which is better than how much you play, less than a quarter of the game in baseball, and you're a slave to the history of it. Well, you've already made changes with the Manfred man at second base and the universal DH and universal interleague play, and so you've made changes. You can't, even if you outlawed intentional walks, you're still going to pitch around them. So the only way you could really solve the problem, I was thinking about this when you were talking about it yesterday. Is everybody right?
No, I just almost dropped my iPad, but I got it.
Okay, as long as you're good. Is what if you came up with something where once or twice, a designated amount of times, you're able to stray from the batting order? Meaning, hey, I've decided that one of my 2 designated times I'm going to have Aaron Judge back to back. And we'll get somebody off the bench to run for him if he gets a hit or something like that. Find some way, like after the 7th inning, you're allowed once or maybe twice during the course of a game where I could say, you know what, I want Aaron Judge up in this particular spot for us. Would that be something? Would that take too much away from the integrity of the game? Because you can't outlaw the intentional walk, Michael. They just pitch around them.
All right. You don't have to do the intentional walk. You give him 4 pitches you can't hit. So there's really no way you could do it. But at least you could have the optics of him. You know, he could chase a pitch if he wants to. If he wants to. And if you make a mistake with your waste pitch, he could actually hit it. But I said this yesterday, a fundamental flaw in baseball is that your best players are not there in the biggest moments of the game, the way the lineup plays out. And I've thought this for a while. The Dodgers, it's the 9th inning. They're down by 1 run at Dodger Stadium, and they have the bottom of the order coming up. Why can't Dave Roberts say, you know what? I want Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Ohtani to come up? Because in any other sport, who had the puck at the end, or is trying to get the puck? Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
If you're playing the Warriors, you know that Steph Curry's going to have the ball in his hand. If you're playing the Chiefs, you know that Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball. And I know in baseball, for many people, it's like church. And if you change something so drastically, it is like a desecration of church. It's got to change before it kills itself. You've got to do dramatic things to change this game. The best hitters in the game should be up in the biggest moments. The other team's allowed to bring in their best reliever. Why can't you have your best players up?
And also, Michael, how about this? Like, why can't you change the rule of substituting a player back into a game?
Don, look at I'm sure you watched some of the Hall of Fame game. You see the new kickoff rule?
Yeah.
That is a jarring rule change.
Yes,
and the NFL does it, and they don't care if you don't like it.
And you'll eventually fall in love with it because whatever they're doing is trying to make it better. They don't feel like, well, this is the way that it's always been done. They were the first really to be open to making changes. And then hockey obviously did it out of necessity because of the lockout. The NBA has made changes too.
And you know what? The closest thing to what they did to Judge, right, is the Hack-a-Shack. The NBA changed the rules.
Right, exactly. And that's now if you wanted to, all right, like you said, all right, the intentional walk, you don't throw any pitches. Outlaw the intentional walk. At least make me maybe I make a mistake. Maybe I throw it over the plate. Maybe Judge decides to chase one that's too close to the plate. That's an easy thing to do. I don't think anybody would complain about that. Bang, done. But what about instead of the stupid Manfred man? If you really wanted to promote the game of baseball, Michael, what if in extra innings you can bat whoever you want?
I like that.
Wouldn't people really be excited? Like everybody's trying to capture the red zone, right? Like everybody's trying to figure out the beauty. All sports have tried to figure out a way to capture what the NFL's been able to do with the red zone. Can you imagine how interesting it would be if a game went to extra innings? Wouldn't you automatically turn it on knowing that the best players in the game are guaranteed to bat multiple times?
Carlos Mendoza is going to send up Lindor, J.D. Martinez, and Alonso in the 10th inning. Isn't that better than a fake man at second base?
Or you can even have the option of, you know what, it's the bottom of the 10th inning, I'm going to have Judge bat 3 times. And if he happens to get on, then we can use anybody on our bench to run for him. Aaron Judge is going to get 3 cracks here in the 10th inning to break this 1-1 tie. You tell me you wouldn't be captivated by that. And for the few people to be like, they're destroying my game of baseball, I'm sorry. You've got to figure out different ways to get people interested in what's going on. You've got some built-in things like the no-hitter. Like they find out Snell's got a no-hitter going. Let's go check out the end of it. Every time a game went extra innings, can you imagine what the ratings would be, Michael, for just an average Yankee game if that game went into extra innings and you got to see Aaron Judge bat 3 times? Or you can go Judge, Soto, Judge in those 3 at-bats?
Because if people are rolling their eyes at what Don's saying right now, how much more ridiculous is that than a fake runner at second that appears for no reason?
Right.
You've fundamentally changed the way the game is played, so let's get really funky. All right, so in all likelihood, Don, this isn't going to happen. it's certainly not going to happen in the middle of a season.
Right.
So you've now got a Judge walking problem. And I've been thinking about a possible way that the Yankees could make this work. Now, there's no knock on Austin Wells, who's had a great month. But there's not a player in the game that you'd rather pitch to Aaron Judge than that player, except the guy who's hitting in front of him. So if this goes on, now Judge has 93 walks this year and 11 intentional, but 4 last weekend. And you wonder now, did John Schneider just give everybody the cheat code on how to deal with Aaron Judge? So if this goes on, what I would do, I would flip Judge and Soto. Mm-hmm. And here's why. Soto takes his walks anyway. You're not going to put Judge on intentionally and have to face Soto, who, if it wasn't for Judge, would be battling Bobby Witt Jr. for the American League MVP award. That's the only protection you could give Judge. Now, you can say, well, then who's going to protect Soto? Soto will protect himself because he will take the walks. Don't you want the guy with the 41 home runs to get an opportunity to swing the bat rather than the guy with the 27 or however many Soto has? I think that's the only solution for the Yankees because but people are telling me, well, Stant will give him protection. You'd much rather pitch to Stant than Judge.
That's the thing.
You'd much rather pitch to Rizzo than Judge. So the only guy that makes you think about walking Judge is Soto.
Now, the whole reason we're in this situation is because the Yankees are a flawed team offensively. I mean, that's a problem that they don't have, even though Wells is having a good month, and there have been times this year other guys have hit. It's really a two-man show. And after Judge, you can take a deep breath, and that's why Judge is getting walks. Ultimately, it's a Yankee roster problem more than anything else. But this is something you could definitely do about it. Like you said, Soto's going to get his walks anyway. The one fault I'd have in Soto, and it's not really a negative, but some fans have called up to talk about it, is that sometimes you'd rather him swing at a bad pitch and hit it out than take the walk. But you know that he is not going to swing at a bad pitch. He's a savant that way. So, yeah, intentionally walking him is not that big of a deal. He's probably going to get a walk anyway. So at least get Judge that at bat, and then if Soto doesn't get pitched to, so what? He's probably not going to swing at a bad ball anyway.
Right.
So I think that would be easy. Now, is that something Soto wants to do?
Well, Soto always wanted to bat third. He wanted to bat third last year in San Diego. That was part of the problem.
That's what I thought.
And Judge had no problem batting second.
I would definitely. That to me sounds like a good idea. But at the end of the day, the ideas that you're throwing out here, the only thing that stops it is the tradition of baseball,
and that's going to kill baseball.
But they've already broken from their tradition, Michael. They now have a clock. Oh my God, they put a clock. This sport's not supposed to have a clock.
And
nobody notices anymore. It's sped the game up, and it's worked beautifully. I don't like the Manfred man. I think it's ridiculous. But you do that. If we were having this conversation 5 years ago, Michael, it'd be laughable. That idea to put a runner at second base in scoring position in extra innings sounds as ludicrous as what we're talking about right now about multiple at-bats. And yet baseball did do it. So why can't you visit that? Now, there are some inherent problems. I mean, it's kind of insulting to the rest of the team when you say, I don't want you to bat in this situation. But you don't have to do it. But in certain situations where you feel like I've got a guy who's red hot, maybe it's not Judge, maybe it's just somebody, maybe
the guy
for some reason
matches
Volpe's
up
on a
better
tear.
or is hot.
Yeah, or Volpe's on a tear that we've never seen before, and I want him to get up against this guy. Isn't that better? Isn't that even? I think that's less radical than the Manfred man.
I agree.
I mean, the Manfred man screws even the stats, Michael. The stats are so important, and yet you're putting a runner at second base that nobody put on. He wasn't walked.
He actually made an out to end the previous inning.
Right. So, but doesn't that mess with stats? And you're giving up a run, but it's not to your earned run average because that runner's not supposed to be there anyway. Like all the reasons why you wouldn't do it, baseball did it anyway. So why can't you do this?